Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Severe thunderstorm warning is out for Bleckley and Dodge counties. It goes until 2:45 for the potential of 60-mile-per-hour winds and the possibility of some hail in there. We've definitely seen some hail this afternoon. Just to give you an idea of the lightning strikes, there are plenty of those. Dodge County has seen a lot of lightning and a lot of rain and hail, but this is the first severe thunderstorm warning that we've had today. Let's take a look at the latest hail picture. And we do see a hail core. Of course, we've seen a couple of hail cores today, but this is the first warning that has gone out. This is east of Cochran. So as we go back in time, you can see when this one just kind of blew up right there. These are pulse storms, so they haven't been sticking around with the same strength for long. Now, it's still going to be, making a racket with rain, thunder, and of course some hail initially, but eventually the hail cores kind of fall out after a little bit of time. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Keep an eye on down here. As I go back in time, you can see more hail earlier. Wilcox into Dodge, and then that kind of fell out. So this is a new storm that is developing on the periphery of that one, which is basically on the Bleckley-Dodge County line. If you're in the Cochran area, most of this hail core is just outside of town, running down 126 between you and, say, Yonkers, north of 257. And there's a new scan that just came in, so still seeing right in the center there hail that's near an inch in diameter. And with these storms that we have today, this is going to be one of the things will be the hail and, of course, some gusty winds there that could get up to maybe 55, 60 miles per hour. Let's look at other hail spots out there. We do see a little bit south of Perry there. No warning on this. And you can see a little bit north Dodge there from some of the hail that we had earlier. And then Telfair County has still a hail core down here, actually, that's an inch in diameter, but no warning for that one. Special weather statements have been out this afternoon for some of these storms, meaning they're not quite to the National Weather Service criteria to go for a severe thunderstorm warning, but just to say, hey, we're keeping an eye on things. Let's go back to the big picture, and you can see our western half, all up here, quiet, a lot of sunshine, a lot of heat. So it's all down here for now, but of course some of this may build in later this afternoon or evening or even later tonight. So the lightning strikes, again, tons of those, even outside our area, down around Hazelhurst, tons of lightning there. So a lot of heat and humidity, a lot of fuel for these storms to get up and get running. It's just a question then of how long they stay around as we go through the coming hour or so. New ones are being created every minute, like the one that, again, we're watching just outside Perry, where there's a little bit of hail there. But clearly the one that is ringing the most bells is the one on the Bleckley-Dodge County line. Let's see. There's the Dublin Skycam. I was going to try to spin that one around for us here. I'm just logging into it. Let's see. All right. Yeah, you can't see a whole lot out there on that one, just clouds. Let's go to Perry, where we have a new storm developing. And it's off in the distance, but mainly all you're seeing is cloud cover out there. So, but again, a new storm back south and east of the Perry area. We'll go back to, this is actually just for the first time showing you the current numbers. Plenty of heat out there as we wait for this map to load. And it's not going to show us any numbers. All right, so it looks like that map's not working. How about the feels like numbers? Nope, not getting anything on that either. So hopefully that will load in for us here in a little bit. Oh, there we go, starting to fill in. 104, 106 on some heat index numbers out there. You can see where the rain-cooled air is in the yellow, so that's where the numbers are getting knocked down thanks to the rain that's been coming in. Let's see if the temperature map wants to play along again, as it's taking forever to load. Now we're not even getting the counties. Okay, so hopefully that will change in a little bit. We may have to get somebody to work on that part. Here is a look at the current radar again, as it's going to take a second to load. A lot of lightning strikes on there, so a lot of data pulling in. I promise you it will load in just a second. It's just taking its sweet time here. So right now we're just taking a look at a blank map. All right, I'm going to have to change source here to go to a different max box to let you look at that until I can see what's going wrong with 2 here. All right, so that just kind of gives you an idea of how things are looking out there for right now, as this other one seems to be frozen. So we're going to work off of this other box here for a second. And guys, just be patient with me for a minute as I'm going to load in a different workspace for a second. All right, so this just stand by for a second. It'll just take a couple of minutes for this to load in. Again, the severe thunderstorm warning is for Bleckley and Dodge counties. It goes until 2:45. And again, seeing a fair amount of lightning with those storms. We're going to see if we can get that to load here on this computer. The hail cores, again, have been pretty impressive today. We've been looking at anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to an inch in diameter. Okay, things are trying to load in now. So far, we just have the lightning. But you can see the warning kind of straddles the Bleckley-Dodge County line. And again, goes until 2:45. Right just outside of Cochran to the east is where we have been seeing the greatest hail core recently. I'm going to try to see if we can pull that up. And we will cross our fingers and hope for the best that we'll be able to see that. There it is. So we do have that working. And again, the hail core pretty stout there. As you're looking in the yellow, about an inch in diameter, you can see there. So again, just mainly outside of town, between Cochran and Chester, but mainly more in the Bleckley County area, all right there on the line together. So if any of these roads ring a bell, Alvin Purser Road, Herman Floyd Road, Smith Sapp Road, Bass Mullis Smith Road, this is about where that hail core is sitting now. Let's see the movement. It's nearly stationary. Notice if I go back in time, you can see when it started to form. It's kind of blowing up and sitting still. We're not really seeing it move anywhere. So anywhere in that area, again, hail upwards of an inch in diameter. And I haven't seen that collapse just yet. So that one's still holding pretty strong. Well, there's a new scan that just came in. Not as much yellow there. Just a little bit. Hopefully we'll start to see the color table go down more and more into the sort of brownish orange color. Let's look for other hail. We do see a little bit in Houston County, south and east of Perry there. Just to the east of the fairgrounds in Perry. As we go farther up, we are looking at Wilkinson County with a little bit of a hail core in the southern part of Wilkinson here. This one looks like pea-size hail for the most part. Let's see, let's go backward. And that's a developing storm. So you can see it's just starting to blossom up. So we'll see what that one does too. We're going to go back to the radar shot. And it looks like we do have a lot of our data coming in right here. A lot of rain, especially in the northern half of Dodge County. We're from Eastman up to Cochran. Cochran, you're still, some rain and rumbles there. But again, the main part of the storm, the part that's being warned for, is right there. Seeing fewer lightning strikes in Dodge County, and instead of them being bright white strikes, which means they're brand new, seeing more of the gray ones, which means those are older strikes. So that means this part of the storm should be kind of weakening down. But that one in Bleckley County still has some strength with it. Telfair County, that's still a growing storm with the brighter white strikes right here. We've been seeing a little bit of hail in that, in the central and western parts of Telfair County. Storms for Crisp, and Wilcox counties. Those storms look like they've been kind of weakening down a little bit, but again, there's a lot of ingredients out there, a lot of energy for these storms to feed off of. The one so far outside of Perry, kind of running south of Kathleen, does have a little bit of movement toward the east there. I'm not seeing this one really kind of, take off like the one in Bleckley County right now. Like we're getting a lot of new lightning strikes on the western part of Bleckley. We'll see if any of this starts to fill in right here. Zooming the map out just to show you everybody else pretty quiet out there. It's mainly running in our eastern and southeastern counties, which is where we knew it would be today, because if you look, convective outlooks is kind of running right inside this level 1 that is out there for today. Just a low end level 1, which means the potential for what we're seeing now. Some gusty winds and some hail possible. Just loading another thing here for a second. I know the radar stopped looping. Just hold on 1 second. Again, this warning goes for another 11, 12 minutes till 2:45, and we'll see if anything else gets issued after that one. Okay, so you can see a lot of the cloud tops there. If you're anywhere from like the Macon area, Roberta, on up into Gray, you're probably seeing the outside edge of these storms. These are the cloud tops way over here, and they're just kind of just popping up. So still a lot of sunshine and heat as you go farther back toward the northwest. And again, still the potential for storms to develop there, but most everything is to the east and southeast for now. All right, we'll do that convective outlook on there again. All right, so it is a level 1, so we're kind of expected some storms to have a little more punch to them this afternoon. Let's go back in and check on the hail situation. And not seeing as much in Bleckley, but actually seeing more in Telfair. So we'll keep an eye on that to see if the National Weather Service wants to fire one off for this one. So far, these have all been significant weather, well, we used to call them significant weather alerts or special weather statements. There's one down here for Telfair, which means it's not quite the severe threshold, but something to keep an eye on. And then the storms that are in Houston County also have special weather statements for them. So storms that are being watched by the National Weather Service but no warning, this one right here, and then this one here. Earlier there was a special weather statement for this stuff in Dodge and Wilcox, but that part of the storm cluster has been kind of weakening down. So let's go back to Perry on the Skycam. And that's the storm off in the distance there. Seeing some dark skies, some rain nearby. Okay, we're going to try to move the Perry Skycam around. And let's see here, we'll get a hold of it. Can't see if it's raining there, not at the fairgrounds. Definitely can see the wind blowing on the water there a little bit. Again, this storm is not severe. This one is a special weather statement from the National Weather Service. Again, that's just one they're keeping an eye on to see if it starts to get a little unruly as we go through time. We'll go back Dublin, see if we can see anything from there. And just mainly seeing clouds off in the distance there. So, and again, the numbers, I mean, there's no shortage of heat and humidity, that's for sure. These are actual numbers, heating to 98, 95 in a couple of spots. You can see the rain-cooled air with 70 in Eastman, 80s in other places. And I'm going to show you actually the dew point map. Darker the green, the muggier it is, and we're seeing upper 70s for dew point. So you factor all that in, and the heat index is easily in the triple digits today, anywhere 106 to 107. Again, the benefit of the thunderstorms, of course you don't want all the hail and all that, but it does bring the numbers down, so it will cool you off. You can see again, our northwestern kind of half of our area is quiet for now, just a lot of sunshine and heat, but that could change a little later. We're already starting to see some stuff trying to build back Macon County into Peach County there. So we'll see how it goes. It could be one of these where it's not this afternoon or this evening, but maybe later on tonight. It could start to fill in for Macon, Forsyth, Roberta, places like that. We'll see. All right, let's go back and do a hail check again. That gives us an idea of the strength of the storm. If we're seeing a smaller hail core, actually now this one, all right, I would imagine they're going to fire one off for this in a second. This is the one that I was showing you had a lot of lightning, but we weren't seeing rain just yet. This is on the Houston-Bleckley line. And notice the storm that was pulsed up that had the severe thunderstorm warning for it. That one's collapsing. This is the new game in town, and this one has quickly grown to 1 inch in diameter there. So again, if you're in Cochran, you had a big storm to the east and now one to the west. All right, so yeah, that one in between Perry and Cochran, that's the one that is the newest one that's growing now. It's outside of this polygon. So this polygon does not cover it. This one goes until 245, and this one does have 1 inch in diameter now. We'll see if the wind and everything is up to the criteria yet for the Weather Service to do anything. Let me see. They do have a special weather statement out on it. It's part of that same cluster that goes from Perry on over. So there's already kind of a we're watching this area. So we'll see if they end up firing off a yellow polygon, which would be a severe thunderstorm warning. So far, no. Telfair County, that one down there, again, not severe, but one that is being watched. As again, the hail has been pretty impressive with that one at times. We're looking at probably more of like half inch to 3/4 hail. Yeah, 0.7 on that. So let's take a look at the velocity map. Okay, there's a new ding going off, and it's actually for the one that I'm talking about right now. I was sitting right on it. So that's the one for Telfair into Wheeler. New severe thunderstorm warning there. Goes until 3:15. And again, there's not a lot of movement with these storms. The hail cores are there, but we don't see them move a whole lot. And this is a good way of kind of showing you. Watch as I go back in time. There's a little bit of movement maybe toward the east there, but kind of dawdling around. Again, just to show you on each side of Cochran here, this is where the current severe thunderstorm warning is. Here is a new growing storm that does not have a warning for it. But watch as I go back in time. You can see the one east of Cochran here, about 1 inch in diameter hail. And watch as this one collapses, this becomes the new part. So now that storm in the western parts of Bleckley County, right along the river there, is where we're seeing the greatest hail for now. All right, so 2 severe thunderstorm warnings, one that is about to expire for Bleckley, and we'll see what they do with that. As far as, do they do anything with that part to the west here? There's the Dublin Skycam. We will go Perry. And that's part of that cluster off in the distance there. All right, so seeing a little bit of wind with a flag coming at us out there across the lake. You know, this part of the storm, though, is not the, what could be considered to be the strongest part. It's that part more on the Houston-Bleckley County line. All right, we'll go back over. You can see all the cloud tops out there again, just an explosion of thunderstorms again with the heat of the day this afternoon. They all fire off at the same time. And again, the farther north and west you are up here, it's all quiet, just hot, waiting to see if anything's going to develop back here. We do see a few storms from Columbus trying to ride this way, but nothing filling in just yet. Keep an eye on this guy, though, right here in Macon County, near Peach County. That's new lightning there. We'll see what that one does. Washington County, you've had a lot of lightning around you, but nothing severe. Same thing for Wilkinson and Johnson counties. Severe thunderstorm number 1. This one goes for another minute, and then we'll see what they do with that. That part of the storm that is in the polygon has weakened down a pretty good bit. This is the newer part outside the polygon, so we'll see if anything gets issued for that. The latest severe thunderstorm warning is the one for Telfair and Wheeler. Again, just a ton of lightning strikes with this one and some hail in there. This one goes until 3:15. All right, so about 20 more seconds on the one for Bleckley, and let's see if this one will drop off, but let's see if they do anything else with that. Bleckley and Dodge, technically, but again, the bigger part of a newer storm of interest would be this one right here, outside of this polygon. So in about 5 seconds, this one ought to fall off. This one, again, is the part we're kind of keeping an eye on. Well, computer time is lagging behind, but it should fall off here in a second. All right, so again, this is the part that still has the greatest hail. Computer time, it seems to be off by about a minute. So this actually is already expired, but we're just not seeing it drop off yet. My goodness, how far off of real time is it? There it goes. So, checking in on the hail again, and notice that's smaller than it was. So that's a good sign. You can see back here, and it was nothing just a few minutes ago. And then in just an explosion, boom. Just like that with hail about 1 inch in diameter. And then as we've been going through the past 10 minutes or so, just kind of weakening down. So hopefully that's a trend that will continue. But this one is still going gonzo down here in Taylor County, or Telfair County, I should say. Did I say Taylor earlier? I think I did. This one is sitting with a little over 1 inch, maybe 1.25 inches in diameter hail there between Old Prison Camp Road, Jackie Riles Road. If you're familiar, Macedonia Church Road there. So kind of between Cobbville and Cedar Park. New scan coming in, still showing 1 inch in diameter there. Smaller hail as you go crossing the river here from Towns to Jordan. So this is going to be probably more like pea-size hail on the Telfair Wheeler line. So the only warning that we have is for Telfair and Wheeler until 3:15. I'm just looking around for hail in other places. I just see a little bit in Houston, a little bit in northern Macon County. But again, this is one that's been kind of a new storm, so we'll see what that one does. A little bit in Dooley right there. Let's take away the lightning, and you can see just a lot of rain with this too. So not just the hail, but we're showing some purple on there as we go Telfair into Wheeler. So pretty good bit of rain in a short amount of time. These other storms, again, I've taken the lightning off so we can kind of see them a little bit better. This one north of Marshallville is one of the newer ones. So again, if I put the lightning on there, you can see that an increase in lightning strikes. That one does not seem to want to really kind of balloon up like the other ones, though. All right, let's see. Other stuff moving into parts of Upson and Taylor counties there. Mainly just rain, a couple of lightning strikes back around Columbus, but so far, this is just rain. Now there's Taylor County with a new, at least, rain shower taken off. We'll see if that becomes a thunderstorm. Making a racket in all these places, but the only severe thunderstorm warning is for Telfair and Wheeler, and that goes until 3:15. The hail core at any given time has shown at least an inch in diameter, but I did check earlier and it was about maybe an inch and a quarter. And as we look at the hail map now, it looks like it's come down some, maybe more like 3/4. Yeah, close to an inch, 3/4, 0.8. So still some hail for Telfair into Wheeler there. Again, the bigger hail is going to be more for Telfair. Then more like 1/2 inch diameter as you get more into Wheeler counties. Other spots of hail, again, just pea size as you go for Bleckley County, parts of Dooley, just a little bit in Houston County right there. But most of this is just rain and rumbles, but definitely a lot of rumbles. So a good indicator for us for the strength of this storm in Telfair and Wheeler is to see these hail size numbers on the scale here start to go more darker. That'd be smaller in diameter. So we want to see, get out of the yellows and brighter orange and get down more into the browner sort of colors here. We'll see how it goes. You can see earlier though, if you go back, it's obviously had its moments in the bright yellow. And sliding a little bit toward the east there, but most of this, as far as the hail is concerned, is north of Lumber City. But all around Lumber City, Hazelhurst, rain and lightning and all that. But this is where we can see the hail the greatest there. Again, we're inside of level 1. You can see the green for kind of our eastern third, eastern half almost of our area. Which means the potential for what we're seeing now, some hail and some gusty winds. The only warning is that one for Telfair and Wheeler, which goes until 3:15. But again, these other storms, we're keeping an eye on them. Let's see what the Weather Service is saying about any special weather statements. There's still the one that's out. Special weather statement, once again, means it's not severe, but they're keeping an eye out kind of for this area. Just watching it. And then it looks to be the only one we have for now. So, area to watch, area that has a severe thunderstorm warning here. But again, the way these these pulse thunderstorms work, you'll see them get up and going. I'm like, watch this area of convergence. Everything was really coming together right here. It sort of washed itself out quickly. And then the outside periphery with the outflows of these storms, that's where we're seeing new storms develop. So it kind of makes sense. If you look, right here where all of this was really going earlier, then you get into the wind coming out of the storm going this way, and then out of the storm going this way, colliding with other outflows, and that's where we're seeing storms on the outside edge of that. So kind of like dropping a pebble in a pond right there at Eastman, and then the ripple effect comes out on the outside for Cochrane and in places like Telfair and Wheeler. So we'll see how long these get up and, stay up and running. Sometimes these pulse storms don't last terribly long, and they'll kind of rain themselves out. That is not the case just yet, though. For the Bleckley County one, even though we are seeing some smaller hail than we were earlier. And obviously the one here in Telfair and Wheeler has the look of what was in Dodge earlier, just everything coming together for just a ton of lightning strikes all at one time. We'll check the hail core. Again, that's a good indicator of the strength of the storm. Still has some punch to it, so we're still looking at 3/4 of an inch diameter hail possible. We'll go backwards. This is going backward in time, and you can see it back toward the west. So there's a little bit of movement toward the east. So if you're familiar with kind of Cedar Park area, that community, Mount Calvary Church Road, Neely Wagon Road, these sort of areas is where we're seeing the possibility of hail that's still close to an inch in diameter there. 3/4 inch possible in Wheeler, Coyote Lane, St. Paul Church Road. Looking for hail in other places. Again, still seeing some hail with this part of the storm north and west of Cochrane. That one had some big hail right there earlier and then started to kind of collapse, and it's kind of flaring back up. Red Dog Farm Road, Royal Road. So there's Cochrane itself, kind of north and west of town there. Again, no warning on that, but stuff that the National Weather Service is keeping an eye on. Still the biggest hail, which actually that same size is in parts of Bleckley there, is in Telfair and Wheeler. Let's check on this right here. This looks to be new. This is right around the Henderson community, so this is on the west side of 75 in Houston County. Fairgrounds are still well to the north, so I don't think we could see that with the sky cam, but this is a growing storm here, because if I go back in time, it just started to show up on the scene in just the past 5 to 10 minutes. So we'll see if that one becomes a player. All right. The lone severe thunderstorm warning for now anyway is for Telfair and Wheeler, and that one goes until 3:15. No shortage of lightning strikes. Matter of fact, we can do a little check here. Over the past 15 minutes, about 1,600 lightning strikes. And you can see all the new flashes coming in. Those are all current new lightning strikes. A lot of energy out there, a lot of heat and humidity. So not surprising to see thunderstorms that have a little bit of a kick to them this afternoon. Yeah, each one of those little flashes, those are all new lightning strikes. So you can see definitely a storm that is not weakening, not yet. That one to the north and west of Cochrane, not as active with the lightning strikes. There's a strike there. You occasionally see one, but not as just constant as that one in Telfair and Wheeler. And this is the one that's trying to show some new hail. Henderson toward Elko. But so far, it's not really exploding into a big thunderstorm. Clearly, this is the biggest show in town. I mean, you can just sit here and watch it. Flash, 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 flash. Let me see if there's any new info on that storm. Check in with the Weather Service here. Don't see anything new on that. All right, so that special weather statement is still out for Houston and Bleckley. Just means, again, they're keeping an eye on it, but it is not up to severe threshold yet. Or it may not be. Latest hail core in Telfair, down better. That storm is still not weakening yet. 3/4 inch diameter there. And again, this part here, Houston into more Bleckley, still possibility of 1/2 to 3/4 inch diameter hail there, north and west of Cochrane. And with the movement, it's looking for that part to kind of stay north and west of Cochrane. We'll see how that goes. And then a newer one again, right around 75 near the exits for Henderson there, heading to Elko. So where 26 crosses 75. All right, let's see about a Skycam check. This is going to be the Perry Skycam here. And again, we've had storms that are off toward the south and west. And then, of course, the newer storm. Let's see if I can find it. Looking south, we can kind of get an idea of the outside edge of it. That's looking down toward the Henderson area there. Okay. Again, plenty of energy for these storms. A lot of heat. Looking at low, mid, upper 90s on the board. Obviously, places like Eastman, McRae, Cochrane, Rochelle knocked down into the 70s thanks to the rain-cooled air. Humidity levels are way up. A lot of dark green on the board. Means very muggy. You factor that in with the temperature, and we're looking at a heat index of anywhere from like 105, 106, 107 in some of the untouched areas. So we do have places that are not seeing storms yet, and that could change as we go through later tonight. We could get some rain or rumbles in there. There's a little bit trying to develop in Monroe County, I see there. Taylor County with a little bit, but these are just regular old garden variety showers and maybe some rumbles in there for now. Most of the action is down here where, again, we are in the level 1 in this area. So a little more prone to seeing stronger storms in that green shaded area. The Storm Prediction Center had put that out today saying, you know, anywhere in here we could probably see upwards of 1 inch in diameter hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds, and that's been the case. This storm's still kind of kicking it here on the Houston-Bleckley line. Trying to pull away from Perry, but there is rain back toward the west as well. So if you see this back here, this is not severe, kind of between Marshallville and Fort Valley. Watching the outflow boundary up here. That little green line is the wind coming out of these storms, and we're starting to see some stuff trying to fire up in Twiggs. Wilkinson into Laurens right there, so we'll see if any of this intensifies. So we're still seeing a lot of current lightning strikes flashing there at Telfair into Wheeler. So a storm that is still very active. We're not seeing any weakening yet with that. Let's check the hail core though. And we do see at least darker colors, which means smaller hail, more like pea size for Telfair and Wheeler. All right, just checking on some stuff here. I don't see anything from the Weather Service yet about any future plans. So pea-sized hail, we're trying to get more down into that range. The yellow is not really where we want to be, the bright yellow. That's going to be the inch in diameter, which we did have back here earlier in Telfair. Let's go back and do a hail check again. That one that's in southern Houston County around Henderson, that one looks like it's back down a little bit. It did flare up right there for a second, and then crossing 75, it's more of pea-size hail. Bleckley County again, still smaller hail now, so that's better. You can see it was larger, especially right there. All right, so let's go back to the current picture. All right, that warning again until 3:15 for 10 more minutes on that one. Still a lot of lightning strikes. Again, if we just put it on the current time, kind of get an idea of how recent the flashes are. Hailstones again coming down in size, more of like pea size. So again, we'll see if the Weather Service wants to continue with that severe thunderstorm warning. All right, looks like they have cut out parts of Telfair County and left in Wheeler. Take away the lightning, you can kind of get an idea. And really, you don't see as much purple in here. Notice as we go back, see a lot of heavy rain, purple, 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 and then, so hopefully that's a sign it's kind of weakening down. The hailstones again are smaller. We're seeing much less of that, more pea size in diameter. So quarter to maybe a half inch. Again, level 1 is in play for our eastern half, and actually bigger threat is more in the Carolinas with a level 2 up that way. So we're just barely on the outside edge of that. So we knew that these storms would have a little more punch today. Just to show you how quickly they'll get up, relatively quickly, the one in Dodge County and Wilcox here, Pulaski, was up and running for a little while, pretty strong, and then just totally collapsed. And on the outside edge, on the outflows, we're seeing for Bleckley into Houston, and then down here, for Telfair and Wheeler. So it'll be a matter of time, and this will eventually collapse on itself as well. It just hasn't done that yet. But you notice that's kind of how this storm was looking over here earlier. I'd say this one's bigger overall as far as lightning is concerned. Over 1,500 lightning strikes per 15 minutes. Okay, so we'll do a hail check going around the horn. And all of the hail cores have come down significantly, so that's good. So really the only thing left is a little bit of pea-sized hail here in Wheeler. So that's much better than what it was. But again, the storm still has some kick to it. Barely showing up for parts of Taylor, Macon County, and Houston County in these little bitty spots here. Nothing severe for any of that. Special weather statements have been out from the Weather Service, which of course just means that they're keeping an eye on that. They still have one out for Bleckley, although that's totally collapsed now, it looks like. Let's go back. Yeah, you can see where this was going earlier, and as we go forward now, that part is collapsed. So that's looking better for Houston into Bleckley, and the Telfair and Wheeler one is looking better as well. We're just waiting for that lightning to kind of come down in intensity. We haven't seen that happen just yet. So about 6 more minutes left on this warning, and then we shall see what the Weather Service does with that. Do they extend it, or do they go special weather statement? I would imagine they'd at least do that with it. Okay. No word from them yet. So this one may just kind of ride itself out here until 3:15. I imagine they're going to let it expire. Probably go with a special weather statement on it. Means, hey, we're going to still keep our eye on it. But we don't see anything right now, that would necessitate another severe thunderstorm warning. I'd imagine that's the way it's going to go, but we'll see. There's still a lot of lightning with that. Just so you can see the big picture of how everything's moving. See where new lightning strikes are as you go into Upson County here. There's a new one trying to form. This one was trying to get going earlier. Macon County, Peach County, but it's not done such a good job of holding together. Taylor County, this is that new one, mainly north of Butler, trying to hold, but staying pretty small here for Dooley and Crisp. And then all this that was in Wilkinson and Washington earlier has kind of rained itself out. So it's mainly all down here for now, and we'll just see if any of this other wants to get going, like along this outflow boundary in the green right there, that breeze coming up through Warner Robins, heading toward Macon. We'll see if anything develops along that. But you can see all this how it just converges, coming from this way and this way for a no-doubter thunderstorm there. 4 more minutes left. Of course, our computer time is off, so it'll be 5 minutes before you see it drop off the map here. But barring anything else, this would be our last severe thunderstorm warning for now. Looking toward the south from the fairgrounds in Perry. It's a pretty wild looking sky out there. Let's see. We'll go look back toward the west. Some rain on the other side of 75, but not anything crazy there. Okay, so as far as wind is concerned in some of these, we've been looking at anywhere from 40 to 45, but occasionally in some of the warned areas, could see 50 to 60, but I think a lot of that has come down in intensity. We're just waiting for the expiration of our only severe thunderstorm warning right now. And that is for Telfair and Wheeler, still here in the bottom right corner. Let's check the hail again, all around the horn, and we see very little, if anything, in all these places. That last little bit left in Wheeler. But that'll be crossing over out of Wheeler in a little bit. Just little spots of maybe a little bit of hail in some of these other little brown shaded areas, but no big deal. So once again, the eastern parts of our area are in that level 1. Again, the bigger threat for today is really more in the Carolinas, up here in yellow and level 2. But obviously we have some storms going here, and it's inside that green shaded area. So we knew that this would have a little more punch the farther east and southeast we went today. So coming up to the end of this severe thunderstorm warning here in just a second. Let's go around the horn again just to check. Again, watching outflow boundaries. That green line is the wind coming out of these storms, racing toward the north up to places like Jeffersonville, Warner Robins, Nicholsville here. So we'll see. That kind of acts as like a little miniature cold front to shovel underneath this hot, muggy air and get it going in the vertical. So you may get a couple of showers at least along there. You can see where it's tried to do that in a couple of spots here, but so far not picking up a whole lot. And new storms for Upson County into Taylor County, none of that is severe. Macon County into Peach, none of that is severe. All of this in Houston, none of that is severe. Same thing for Dooley. Bleckley, still some rain there, and that's weakening down. Northwest Lawrence County, riding right off of that outflow boundary. Kind of heading toward Dublin, but not seeing anything severe with that. We can check in on the camera in Lawrence County, and I can kind of shuttle it around over there to look toward the, and you can see that part of that storm. I think we have an eye on it there. That's looking more north. So this is going to be, as we pan over toward a little more west, northwest there, and you can see the storm off in the distance there. So that's a newer one that's heading in toward Dublin, and we'll see if any of that holds together. Oh, I didn't even have it pulled up for you. You were looking at Perry the whole time. My bad. Here it is, right there. Okay, we'll go back to the radar shot where technically that warning is expired. We'll see if it has fallen off the map yet. As it is loading, it looks like it just did fall off. So there are no severe thunderstorm warnings for our area. We'll keep an eye on all these other ones as they either get up and get running or start to fall apart or whatever. But if there's a reason for us to come back on, we will. Otherwise, we'll see you later on at the 5 o'clock show.